Hello friends, welcome to the course introduction. So this course is designed based on real-time industry requirements, focusing only on the skills you actually need in professional environment. We have carefully filtered out the unnecessary theory and included only practical job-oriented contents. So almost every session is lab-oriented. So you will not just learn concept, but you will learn how to implement them and step by step. Okay, so wherever we have executed the action plan, so that action plan has been provided in the course. You can download, you can run it in your local system as well. Okay, so in this particular session, I'm going to explain you about the complete end-to-end course introduction, what all the topics that we have covered, what is the relevance of that, and why we have included all those contents. Okay, so the very first session is we are giving the introduction to the AWS. Let me enable the right. Okay, so in the very first session, okay, we have discussed about some critical concepts of the AWS cloud. Okay, the reason is that Terraform is infrastructure as a code tool. Okay, that means we use Terraform for the provisioning of the multiple infrastructure related resources, and mostly we use Terraform in the cloud. Okay, so Terraform is a cloud agnostic. You can use it for any cloud, whether it is a AWS cloud, Azure cloud, Google cloud, Oracle cloud. Okay, so AWS, because we are going to execute all the lab exercises in the AWS cloud. Okay, so hence, if you do not have the prior knowledge of AWS, so initial session will give you some basic understanding of AWS cloud and some critical concepts that is required to understand the Terraform properly. Okay, so that's why the first session we have introduced just for giving you the AWS concepts. Okay, so if you have a good knowledge of AWS, you are working on AWS, then you can skip the first session. You can directly start from the second session. But if you do not have knowledge of any of the cloud providers, okay, you have not worked on cloud, then make sure to attend the first session of the AWS introduction. Okay, and then second, we are going to discuss about what are the different challenges that we have in the traditional infrastructure. That means if you are not using the Terraform, then what kind of a challenges that you have been facing when you are going for the complete end-to-end setup of your infrastructure, which include your hardware and software as well. Right. So once you have a clarity, what are the challenges? Okay, then you can able to understand the Terraform properly. Okay, what is infrastructure as a code? Okay, so this infrastructure as a code is a term where you manage the complete infrastructure with the help of code. Code in the sense we create some different configuration files. Okay, and with the help of that we can manage the complete infrastructure. And in the market we have a different kind of a IAC tool, infrastructure as a code tool. So we'll just discuss about few of the tools and then why we are preferring the Terraform. Why Terraform is mostly used as a tool for infrastructure management. Okay, so this will be covered in this particular session. Why Terraform? Why we use the Terraform in comparison with the other tools. Then we will discuss about the Terraform architecture. Okay, so this is again a very important section. How Terraform works. What are the different components that are there in the Terraform? So when we execute the different code files for creation of the resources. Okay, so what actually happen in the background? How it works? What are the different components that come and then they collaborate with each other for end-to-end configuration of the resources. Okay, then we'll see how to install the Terraform, which is a very straightforward process. And then we will show you how to make a AWS connectivity, right? Because if we are going to execute each and every lab in the AWS cloud, okay, so whenever your Terraform is going to create the resources in your AWS cloud, okay, so we have to make a connectivity between AWS cloud and the Terraform. Right, so we'll see how to make this connectivity between the Terraform and AWS cloud in this AWS connectivity session. Okay, then again, and very important section, Terraform workflow. So when we write our code, okay, to manage the infrastructure, then we have to write, we have to execute some command in the sequence. Okay, so what is the purpose of each and every command? Why we execute in sequence? What is the purpose of each and every command? What is the output of each and every command? How to interpret that? Everything we are going to discuss in the workflow. Then we'll discuss about the HashiCorp configuration language, which is also called the HCL. So this Terraform, okay, this is basically a tool from an American-based company, HashiCorp, okay, which is now acquired by the IBM in 2025, as far as I know. Okay, so HCL is an language, okay, which is used to design the scripts. So that means whenever we have to manage the infrastructure with the help of code, so we design certain scripts, and that scripts follow the HashiCorp configuration language. Okay, it's a very straightforward human readable language. You just need to understand certain blocks, how to define the blocks, what are the different concepts for that. Okay, and it's in even in just a couple of minutes of a time, or you can say in just in half an hour, it is more than sufficient for you to understand the HCL. Okay, and based on that, we write the different scripts for the management of the infrastructure. Okay, after that, when we'll understand the what is HashiCorp configuration language, okay, then we will start jumping into the different modules or blocks of the HL configuration, right? Because in the cloud we may have a multiple resources. We have the EC2 virtual machines, we have the VPC, we have the subnets, then we have storage, right? So we have a multiple component in the cloud, okay. So when we create the resources, okay, there are multiple things are in place. For example, if you are going to create the resources in the non-production environment, then you are going for the pre-production, production, okay. So there what we use the concept of reusability. We write code once and same code we use to execute in the multiple environments. So it save our time, it increase the maintainability, it increase the productivity. Okay, so there are multiple concepts with respect to the code, so that we are going to learn in the subsequent next sessions, like the Terraform blocks, provider and resources, variables, output states, remote state, then modules, data sources, functions, configuration files, lifecycle meta arguments, provisioners. So till here, starting from the Terraform block, okay, we are going to learn in detail how to create the HashiCorp configuration language. What are the different blocks, modules, variables, output, different states are there. And when we design the code, what is the purpose of each, and each concept we are going to learn with the execution. Okay, for almost for each session, we have a lab where I will explain you with the theory. Along with theory, I am going to explain with the execution, and then I am going to provide you that lab content as well, so that you can execute in your local system as well. Okay, so Terraform you can install in your local PC or desktop. Okay, and then you can create your account. If you do not have the AWS knowledge or you do not have AWS account, so you can create your free AWS account in the AWS. Okay, and once that is created, you can start doing every exercise on your local system. Okay, even in the AWS you have a multiple resources that are free for 1 year of a time. You don't need to pay any for that. Even you are going to configure few more resources as for learning purpose, that there is a very bare minimum amount that you have to pay. Okay, and that's why you can easily adopt the AWS cloud for your learning. Okay, if you do not have account, as I said, you create your account on the AWS portal. Okay, and then every lab and every exercises that you can execute by your own in your local lab or in your local system, right? So once we have a complete clarity on the end-to-end configuration files of the HCL, how to create the different modules, and then how to create different features that we use in the HCL, okay, then we have the multiple labs as well. Okay, so even almost each and every session here as well, including the labs. On top of that, we will have some extra labs, okay, that will give you some more hands-on experience, and then it will give you some more understanding of how we actually create the configuration files and how actually we configure the resources in the cloud with the help of Terraform. So there will be a multiple scenarios when the multiple lamps will be there, right? And then we have few more important concepts of Terraform when we know that how to design the HCL scripts, how to create the your resources in the cloud. Then we have certain concepts like Terraform replace, Terraform import, and then we sometime if we have an issue, then we use the Terraform debugging. And for storing the credentials, okay, we store the credentials in the some third party secret managers. Okay, for example, in the AWS we have a AWS secret manager, because we do not write the password in our configuration files, because that will expose your password, right? So we use some third party tools like the AWS secret manager. Okay, and then apart from writing the code, okay, here instead of writing your own code, so there is an inbuilt registry of the code as well. You can directly use that registry as well instead of writing your own code. Okay, so for that we have a Terraform registry. So we'll understand that in this session. Now, along with that, you can download the code from the Git repository as well. Okay, so instead of writing every code in your local system, specifically when you are working in an collaboration with the multiple engineers, okay, so what we do, we store the code in the central repository like the GitHub, and then every user do the check-in and check-out of the code from the central repository for creation of the resources. So that we are going to understand in this Git code session. And then we have the Terraform workspace, where when you work on the multiple environments like development, production, pre-prod, okay. So then we create the different workspaces before we create the resources. What is the meaning of that? How to execute that? What is the feature of that? Benefit of that? Everything we are going to cover in this session. Okay, so overall, this is going to be a very comprehensive course, which is a lab-oriented course, and the content will be filtered out based on the real-time industry requirement. And definitely by the end of this course, you are going to get a very good hands-on knowledge on the Terraform, and we can easily work on any of the professional environments.